Welcome to a special edition of Fringe Element here, emergency podcast, because everyone's got to do one. My name is Braden Gall. You can follow me on Twitter at Braden Gall. Special guest, Chris Marler. Chris, tell everybody where they can follow you, where they can get to you, all the good stuff. You've been on the show before, but let's reiterate where people can find you.
All right, my home address and social security number for one. No, it's Vern Funquist on Twitter and Instagram. Not Facebook. I think it's just Chris Marler, but don't friend me on Facebook because I don't want to be on Facebook. No one does, really. Yeah, so just Vern Funquist, and then College Football Uncensored Podcast, SDS, Saturday Down South, all that good stuff.
Yeah, there you go. So also, of course, Fringe Element is brought to you by Jasper's, which is the next evolution of the sports bar in Nashville. If you're ever in Nashville, we'll take you out to Jasper's. There's free parking. It's all kinds of great food. You know,
why did you throw out free parking first and foremost?
So it's a downtown Nashville restaurant. And if you've ever been to our city, you cannot park your vehicle anywhere in downtown without being price gouged by some asshole.
That's fair.
So to have a giant free parking lot where you can just pull in, put your vehicle in a spot, walk in and have a wonderful meal that's like not like shitty bar food. It's like a really it's a high level chef, and they got a free game room with air hockey and Papa Shot and foosball and
I'm a big Papa Shot guy.
Shuffleboard. I'm shuffleboard. Shuffleboard's my stuff.
Okay.
They got everything, man. Grab it, go market. It's great. And if you're not in Nashville, Four Top Hospitality that owns Jasper's has 13 locations across the Southeast in Huntsville and Jackson, Mississippi, and Memphis. All kinds of great restaurants across the Southeast. So make sure you check all that out. All right. Anything happened this week that interested you, Chris? Was there anything that you felt like was interesting that took place this week in the SEC?
All right, so I'm going to tell you the truth here. Usually, like with my job, especially when I used to just run social media for Saturday Down South, I'm on my phone all the time. I feel like I'm constantly entrenched and inundated with all this shit on Twitter and and social media and all that kind of stuff. As I told you off air, I have done something to my back, and I've just been Grandpa Joeing it all week. And I heard like murmurs. I had like a few texts from people who's like, "Dude, I heard what Saban said. Spot on." I was like, I'm not friends with him, so I don't know why you're telling me the pat on the back. And I just kind of assumed it was some kind of off-season stuff that was blown out of proportion, which it basically was. But I just didn't think it was that big of a deal. I just assumed everybody was kind of embellishing how big of a deal they were making it sound. And then by noon on Thursday, yesterday, I saw Jimbo's press conference, and I was jaw dropped.
It's so good, dude. Literally, Dan Hawkins, Mike Gundy move over. That was the best college football press conference, because I've done this. You're a couple years younger than me, but we're about the same age. And I've got into this business in 2005, and I remember Dan Hawkins. I worked with Dan Hawkins. He didn't I don't
remember the Dan Hawkins thing.
It was it was, "This ain't intramurals, brother." Like this whole thing. But like, again, that's the whole thing. Dan Hawkins did this thing, and then Mike Gundy sort of took the top spot on the podium with "I'm a man, I'm 40, come after me," that kind of thing. I think Jimbo Fisher's performance, because I do believe it was performative. I think a lot of it was performative.
I don't think he knows that, but yeah.
It was faux outrage, in my opinion, over, again, a nothing burger. We'll get into all the details of all this, because Nick Saban has to know that even though he's right and it's taken out of context, that it's going to be taken out of context, and you cannot use the phrase "bought all of the players on his team." Like, you just can't use that phrase in college football without it sort of sparking something. Also, this has been building for a couple of years. Jimbo and the Nick Saban thing has been building. He beats him on the field, becomes the first assistant, beats him in recruiting. Like, it's been building. He's got his chest puffed out a little bit. I think it was all faux outrage. I think it was all performative. And I think even Greg Sankey's a mandate for them to apologize was performative. I guarantee you he turns around to his buddies in the office and is like, "I can't believe no one's talking about the NBA playoffs, the PGA Championship, the NHL playoffs. You know what they're talking about? Our league right now in the middle of May."
So there's so many things that you said that are accurate, but like the performative part, I don't think Jimbo was like putting on a show. I think that's who Jimbo is. And I agree with what you're saying. Like Saban, I've heard people say, like, did he not know there was a camera there? Like, maybe that's why he was saying all this stuff. You got to err on the side of caution. He's smarter than that. But hear me out here. When you said multiple times it was taken out of context, when Saban said that Texas A&M bought their entire recruiting class, in a day and age where you are legally allowed to buy your recruiting class, and you knew there was going to be an overreaction, what if, and hear me out.
No, I love it.
What if we just didn't overreact and took like the words that came out of his mouth for what they were, as factual statements and not personal attacks? Because that whole thing was wild to me.
Well, you'll have to ask Jimbo about that because he's the only one that can answer that. Also, lots of like quality pre-snap motion misdirection during that Jimbo Fisher press conference. Like
refused to miss any opportunity to say like any kind of slander.
Like this like, what did he say, something about criminals or something? It's like, dude, like, no, Nick Saban did not accuse you of any criminal behavior. Like, just relax on this.
Not a single, like, there was nothing illegal. Like, there was no part of it that Saban said was illegal. There was nothing that he did that was against the rules. None of that was ever said. Like, I think I put on Twitter this morning, it's like, if you were out like on the West Coast somewhere, right? Like Portland, San Francisco, LA, whatever, and say you got caught with like weed from like a cop. And he's like, hey, is that weed? And he's like, you know what? No, this is not weed. First off, it's not my weed. I've never smoked weed. I don't smoke weed. Okay. Like, first off, you probably smoke weed. Also, you probably should get slapped. That's the kind of reaction. It's like, dude, it's legal. Just chill the fuck, like, chill out, man. Like,
it's if your wife doesn't expect that you're cheating, and then she makes a joke about you cheating, and you're like, no, I never did anything wrong. That was never.
Exactly. And I used that example last night, and I wish I didn't, because it did not go over well with my girlfriend. But
I was gonna say, I was in the process of saying it out loud, thinking, oh shit, people think I do that now, and I'm just glad my wife doesn't watch any of these shows. So
good. There you go.
No, it's good. So there's so much. So I want to back up real quickly and talk about the environment with which this was done in. I don't think this has gotten enough coverage. This was at a very exclusive event with, like, I don't know, 30 of the wealthiest business owners in the state of Alabama.
That are slam poetry meeting.
That are all going to pour money into the collective anyway, into the athletic department. And like, as usual, this is Nick Saban just threatening all the people in the world that if you don't fix this problem with college football, I'm going to murder you with it. And that's what he did with the spread offense. It's what he did with the portal. Like, it's just, and I think that's where Jimbo is sort of maybe a little sensitive here. Texas A&M is all in their feelings. Like the Ross Bjork comments about like Nick Saban should be this or that. And I'm like, dude, Ross,
sportsmanship.
Dude,
when's the last time you said sportsmanship?
Hugh Freeze.
Like, as an adult man, when's the last time you said the word sportsmanship for real?
Oh man. Well, I've got two small kids, so it comes out in different forms to the 4 and the 5-year-old, but yes, not at any point during discussions about SEC football.
No, it was the most A&M thing imaginable for them to tattle immediately. Like, Jimbo comes out here and does this whole thing where he's like, no, I don't shy away from confrontation. And that was like seconds after he was like, yeah, he called. I didn't pick it up. But he was like, I don't shy away. Yeah. Like, so then he's talking about how he doesn't shy away from like confrontation, all this other stuff. And then they immediately went and tattled. And like, listen, A&M is a great university with a lot of tradition. And I know their fan base loves A&M, just like, I don't know, Heaven's Gate probably loved Kool-Aid, that same kind of thing. But like, if we're being honest, like, it's so perfectly A&M with like the boy cheerleaders and the finger guns and the swaying back and forth, like a summer camp sing along, to be like, you know what?
Wow.
We're going to tattle.
I guess we'll just omit who you grew up rooting for. And
listen, I can be objective about it. And the other part of it is too, though, is I always say this, we're a nation of haters. Like, we're going to look to be angry about something without trying to like logic. Aaron's really good about this, your co-host. Like, there's been times like I would talk to her about stuff and I would go off about something happening at work, and she would just sit there in silence, be like, are you done? Because I want you to hear what you said so you can realize how much of an overreaction this is. And that's what I feel like the entire internet did, because it's like the whole people weighing in from all blue checks from all over the place that somehow race or like NIL stuff, like the transfer portal stuff, like this very weird, like fake narrative of like Saban doesn't like the kids getting money. He doesn't like the transfer portal, doesn't like any of that.
No, he's not Dabo.
No, thank God. Thank God for that. But I mean, it's just bizarre to me how no matter how many times you can say something out loud, right? About how, like, and then also follow it up with your actions. Like, there's no way that Saban hasn't at some point been a part of a program where players were given money.
Yeah. No, and we do have to address the two different comments, which is the parody comment on the Fine Mom show, and then this one too. Like you have to. This is where we can't fix the media, and we can't fix things being taken out of context, and the sensationalistic nature of the media, and what drives engagement is what is the profit model for big media. Like that's what it is. So you're going to take Ryan Tannehill's comments about mentorship out of context, even though I was standing 5 feet away and didn't even react to it at all. I was like, oh, that's right. Like I didn't even have a reaction, but all of the national media has to lose their minds over this stuff. Also the off season. So whatever. But like Nick, like I believe in what Nick Saban said in theory, both times. In theory, I'm with you, Nick. I wish we had parity, but it falls on deaf ears when you say those things as the head coach of the organization that has the most advantages of any. Even in his comments, he said, well, like academic support and healthcare. And I'm like, yeah, you're at Alabama where you have more of that than everyone else. Do you think Troy has the same medical coverage as Alabama?
Know if they have more than everyone else. I mean, no, you're right about that. And you made a really good point about this the other day too, about the parity thing. Cause like there's no part of Nick Saban that wants parity. He wants to just slowly take the will out of every single person and competitor that he has to face. Like for real. Like I know. And that's why I wasn't bothered by the narcissist comments yesterday from Jimbo, because it's like I'm sure there is some level of narcissism.
They're all narcissists. All of them.
But to have the whole thing like I don't think that Bama, like Texas A&M is a program that since 2015 has spent over $570 million on just football facilities. And they just approved a $205 million like project that they're going to put, like they also they were the first school to ever give a Dan Uggla contract to an actual coach. Sight unseen, 10 years, 75 million guaranteed, like that, like those are kind of like
what a reference, by the way. No, what a reference, by the way. Also, I believe Dan Uggla, pride of Spring Hill, Tennessee, Columbia. I think he's from Nashville, I think.
You lost me at Pride. But yes, that guy hit like 215 for 5 straight years with the Braves.
Hit dingers, dude. Hit dingers.
Real quick, I ran into him one time at a bar before the season, like a week before, and I was like, hey, man, best of luck. Because my friend was going to talk to him, and he goes, I'm dropping 45 this year, and then flex. And I was like, I'm going to go get a Bud Light.
That's the most predictable Dan Uggla response I ever.
Right. And then just did push-ups. I was like, why don't you just hit 260? I don't know. We'll call it even. But no, like the whole thing with like the advantages part, I get what you're saying, but I don't feel like Saban is not coming off this, like all the things he laid out. Again, he wasn't attacking A&M. He shouldn't have used like that, like them by name, but like he's pointing out all of the flaws and all of the current and potential problems that we're seeing with NIL that we're all seeing unfold, right? Like, the Jordan Addison thing that came out, and obviously it ended up not being true, but like we're all watching this unfold, and it's a very new concept that no one, like the NCAA is completely backed off. It's the Wild Wild West. So him saying all that, it still blows my mind that we could, it's all legal. It's all legal. There was nothing to get that upset about.
And they agree. Here's the thing. They agree with each other.
They kept saying the same things, right?
Yes. In the middle of his press conference, Jimbo Fisher's like, yeah, I think we need some uniformity around name, image, and likeness, which is all that Nick Saban was saying.
They both every have the step of the way of bringing in the government too, which I was just like, okay, how do you guys not do this?
This is what's going to happen is Greg Sankey is the only one who can really do anything about this. And it'll be an SEC rule unless we have a full-on breakaway from the NCAA, which is pending and looming in about 10 years anyway. But there's nobody that can do this other than the conference commissioners. I think the conference commissioners can probably do something about this, but they're kind of the only ones that I trust to really do it. But again, this is same thing with Nick Saban. Is like, we've never had a recruit get paid ever from the school that's been on probation more than any other school in the history of college football.
I don't know if that's factually true, but yeah, it was not great.
But like, again, I also don't care.
There's no reason to bring it up, right?
Yes, it's just again, in theory, I agree with what Nick Saban is saying in both instances. It just doesn't land really well when you are the one that has benefited probably the most. And this is the other thing I can't stand from Alabama fans right now. They're like, well, then just go out and work harder and recruit more. And I'm like, no, this isn't an argument about Nick Saban's talent. Like he is the greatest. He's the greatest coach of all time. And if there was a level playing field, which is what I think is going to happen, where every athlete in the SEC that plays football is going to get $50,000 a year, and that's going to be the rule. And that'll try to level the playing field to some degree. He's still going to beat you because he's just better than you. So it's not about.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand, the whole complaint about what all the benefits he's getting, because Alabama's not USC, Alabama's not Texas, Alabama's not even Tennessee, right? Like from a resources standpoint, I mean, maybe I just agree to disagree on that. But again, the weirdest part of all this is these two old men yelling into the wind about stuff that is totally acceptable now. Like,
yes, that they agree on.
And listen, I grew up as an Alabama fan. There's zero doubt in my mind that Alabama has paid for players in some capacity since Nick Saban's been there.
Yeah.
Jalen Waddle was like $50,000. It was a steal. Let's just call it what it is.
I mean, before he got hurt, yes, it was a steal. Listen, as a staunch Jalen Waddle stan who owns him in the Keeper Dynasty League in the NFL, like I am a huge Waddle guy. I still think the 2020 coaching job was the best coaching job Nick Saban's ever done because their best player didn't play for most of the season. On that team. There's a couple other things here with Jimbo also, and I don't to this conversation about and people know how this works. You know how this works. I think Nick Saban has plausible deniability. Jimbo Fisher has plausible. All these coaches have plausible deniability about recruiting. But don't tell me there is. Don't tell me we know how the system works off the books, which is there's somebody that runs a region of the state or the country, and if somebody's dad needs a new engine in their tractor, somebody's dad gets a new engine in their tractor
or a new job.
It just, a washing machine shows up when they need it, and like, who cares if someone's in need of a washing machine? Like, let an Alabama booster provide a washing machine to a mom that needs to do some laundry for her kids. Like, it's just not.
Yeah, and a Dodge Charger while we're at it to drive the washing machine over there. No, but like, and that's another thing too. I think there's a few things I hate more in this world than cliches. Just like, as somebody that did stand up, like just the most low hanging fruit shit ever is like the Dodge Charger thing drives me nuts, because every school has done that, and the way they do it is you set up a deal with the dealership, you sign something on like the first day, you pay $1 down or something like that, and then you, like 3 to 4 years afterwards, then you pay it off the car, or maybe you don't. But like all of that, they found loopholes. And like, as people have been doing in college football and cheating for years and years and years, cheating without cheating. The thing about Jimbo yesterday going in there, and they asked him about the collective, and he immediately backtracked. And this is the thing, you brought up like the example of the cheating thing earlier. The moment somebody starts talking that fast, and I know he already talks that way, he's like wired that way.
If only his offense could run that many plays, like, it would be great.
Oh my God. Well, you know what? I can't hate on Zach Calzada after last year, but like the lengths that he went to, and the things that he was like defending and denying that were never brought up.
Yeah.
Were never brought up. Yep. That's what I really had a hard time understanding. And then when he said the collective thing, and that's like such a good point. I don't know how that works. I don't know how it works. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you know exactly how it works.
And also, like, you came from Saban's tree, and that's another part that's so weird. Is that like, if you talk to anybody that's like was in that coaching tree, if you ask like, what's the one guy that like Saban respects the most, it's always been Jimbo. It's always been Jimbo. So it's just, it's weird.
That's where I was going to get to, which is in general, when you begin to do the "we are perfect, I dare you to look into us" kind of thing, it normally never works out well for you.
No.
It's just not a smart strategy, Cotton, to just be like, we're perfect, we've never done anything wrong, come check. Like, it didn't work. It hasn't worked for anybody. Obviously, Hugh Freeze is the main one that comes to mind, where he just tweets at the NCAA, like, come and find something. Like,
forgot about that.
Like, of course they're going to find something. Laquan Treadwell's posting stacks of hundies on Instagram. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, he's from Illinois and just want to just stroll on down to Oxford. But that's also another good point. You talk about that recruiting class, like having like out of nowhere, where there's smoke, there's fire. Like, if you've had 5 total 5-stars in the past 5 years at that school, and you sign 8 in one class.
I think it's different for Ole Miss and A&M though. I think A&M,
because of the Lord.
Well, yes. Flip phones and the Lord. No, to me, it's just A&M it's more believable because A&M has the bigger budgets. They've got the better recruiting base. Like, there's more logic to why A&M can be great at recruiting. Jimbo Fisher did it at Florida State. He's got a ring on his finger. Like, I don't. Again, this goes to things that I don't care about, which is and public's perception of this, I think, has shifted dramatically in the last 10 years. Like, I just don't. The moral high ground is gone on paying players. It's gone. Like it's disappeared because we all agree that if you're going to put your body on the line for 4 years for a university, it's going to make millions of dollars off of you. That, you know what, you probably should get a little kickback. Like nobody cares. Nobody cares anymore. So I don't care if the players got bought and paid for legally or illegally. I don't care. I find this to me is so it's to your point about overreaction. I don't think we can until profit is removed from media, you're never going to not have overreaction. And that's a far different topic for a different podcast. So
the overreaction is fine. It was just, I was blown away by the amount of people that are in media that just like strolled on up to like the event and haven't been doing anything involving college football for, I don't know, fucking decades. Like, excuse my language, like, no, and just, and then immediately can see this thing and take it out of context so far to be like, you know what? Saban said all these things that, like, he laid out all of these potential issues. My first reaction is he's complaining. Well, that's another thing. What is he complaining about? He had the number 2 recruiting class. It's not like he's hurting for recruits. They just played in the 6th national championship game in 7 years. That whole thing about Saban whining was like, I would disagree with that. But the other part of it is to see this, like, a paragraph of words and be like, you know what? This guy hates the transfer portal, and we should probably bring race into this. I just was blown away.
Who did the race thing? Like, I didn't even see that.
So it was the guy.
I guess I've curated my feed so well that all the stupidity is out of it, I guess. I don't know.
Oh man, I think I've curated so I can find more of it and just ruin my day. I found this last night at roughly 1 a.m. and it kept me up for hours. It was oh god, because it was two people and they were going back and forth, like high-fiving each other on being wrong. It was ridiculous. There's a guy out of Houston who is, hold on, I'm pulling it up right now. My mom.
Don't amplify.
No, I am. It was Shireen Williams was a lady who was talking about it, and then the other guy was Jose De Jesus Ortiz.
Are these media people?
Yes. So Jose De Jesus Ortiz is a editor for Our Esquina, which means Our Esquina, and he covers the Astros, Mets, and Rays. So big college football guy.
Interesting. I'll say this. I will give the college SEC in particular, like, after we all sort of like got our rocks off watching Jimbo, I think everybody's been pretty tempered, actually. Most SEC media that I've talked to about this is all like, I'm not sure why we're vilifying Nick Saban. Like, I'd like to, but I can't really do it. So I actually think the people that know the game and know the sport and know Nick Saban, I think have had an appropriate level of sort of reaction to this. Like, I don't have any real issue with what Nick Saban said. I don't really have any problem with, I find the Jimbo Fisher stuff to be entertaining, but I don't find a whole lot of substance there. Like, again, like, it is what it is. And this is where we can wrap up the conversation on this. All of this, the parity commentary, the transfer portal commentary, all this stuff, you know what this really tells me? And I think it's the only thing that matters in all of this. Nick Saban loves his freaking 2022 team. He loves it.
Oh, he's relaxed, huh?
He loves it, dude. Because last year he knew he had like a mentally fragile sort of young roster of players that he had to kind of be delicate with. And he came out and like, he came out and defended him all the time and said all these positive things. And it was like, who is this guy? We've never seen this person before. I think we're going to see, and Aaron Suttles said this on our show a couple of weeks ago. He said, we're going to see a lot more meltdowns from Nick Saban this year. And I was like, hell yes, bring it on. And that means he loves his team. Yep. And it means they're going to be damn good, as we all expect to be number one, probably in the nation, and be the favorite to win the national title. So,
well, it's because they've had all the advantages. And I'll tell you another thing too. When you got all the advantages, it's easy. If there's one thing we can agree, winning national championships is easy. And I think Jimbo's proven that, especially since he hasn't played for a single title in the last 7 years.
Wow.
Well, I mean, like, if we're just looking at facts.
I'm here for the petty. I am here for the petty. I want all the petty in the world. Give it to me.
This always cracks me because I got a text this morning at, like, I started a tweet storm at like 6:30 a.m. Again, all rooted in facts. Like, these are just numbers about Jimbo Fisher and his recruiting. 11 of his 13 recruiting classes all time, top 10. Like, I think his last 10 of 11 years, he started the season out where they were ranked in the top 15. They've finished ranked 3 times. Or they finished ranked higher than they were in the preseason 3 times. Give them all the recruits. Give them all the recruits, because as long as you go out there playing like, I don't know, EJ Manuel or who was the other kid, Ponder, that was a first round draft pick?
Christian Ponder.
Yeah. As long as you play Kellen Mond and all those guys, like we're good. We're good.
Mr. Sam Ponder.
Is exactly right. But I do agree with you about this Bama team. I think
and I always have to say this. I have to put this PSA out there because people listening are college football fans, and I know you're all anxiety riddled freaks right now. None of this will affect your Saturday afternoon
at all.
Literally none of this. If anything, your team might have a better chance to make the playoff when it expands. Like literally every single thing we've argued about for the last 18 months. I'm going to take my car. I'm going to park it in the same goddamn parking spot. I'm going to cook the same brisket next to the same people and drink the same beer, wearing the same shirt, singing the same fight song on the same street that I have for 35 years.
You got to switch it up a little.
Well, I mean, it's just the same. It goes from Adidas to Nike, and, you got to change when they change their contract. But like, other than that, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't affect your Saturday. You're going to sit in the same section of the stadium that you've sat in for 35 years, and you're going to sit with your friends and you're going to have a great time on Saturday. Like, that's it. And frankly, the SEC middle class is better than it's ever been. I've never seen a year, dude, where 13 teams are going to go in. Auburn doesn't count, so let's just take Auburn away. Every single team in the SEC is happy. Like,
well, I mean,
they're all
Brian
happy.
Harson's happy. Do you see him tweet yesterday during this whole shit show?
Well,
he's like, somebody sent me this yesterday. It was like, in the middle of all this, Brian Harsin just tweeted somehow. He's like, "Can't wait to get back to Jordan Hare on Saturday. This is the best fans in America." And I was like, that is one of my favorite tweets of all time, just because of the context of what was happening around him. But yeah, listen, and I'll say last thing, just because I know I defended Saban. He was wrong about the speculation thing about Jackson State. I don't think any of us know the facts on that because it's Jackson State.
Right.
That kind of stuff, he probably shouldn't have been speaking out of pocket. But anyway.
Yeah, and
I think man.
I think that's fair. Is Brian Harsin like that funny? Like, is he that dry? Or do you think there's no way it was on purpose, right? Yeah, I was going to say
there's no way.
Yeah, there's no way. The other thing I would have paid a lot of money for, and I know we keep saying like one last thing here, but if I could have gotten Steve Sarkisian and Brent Venables on a phone call and a glass of whiskey last night and recorded the thing and been like, do y'all know what y'all are getting yourselves into?
Dude, that is going to be such a weird like clash, because they're perfect fit, because they're narcissists that like don't give a shit about any of their programs and think that they're the best and all that kind of stuff, just like every fan base in the SEC. But my God, are they in for a rude awakening?
The "it just means more" thing, I hate it because it's so true on both sides of the spectrum, right? Like, it's true because of the good, it's true because of the bad, but you don't understand it unless you're in it.
No,
you just don't. And we just spent 30 minutes talking about how meaningless this entire thing was, and that commanded our entire conversation in all of sports for, probably this entire week. And Texas and Oklahoma they don't get it. They're very good programs, great fans, like all the compliments in the world to those programs. They're going to be great additions, but until you're at an Egg Bowl, you don't get it.
No,
you don't get it.
I'll tell you what, we should have signed off on the tweet that somebody sent out, like under the name Harvey Updike.
Oh, God.
Did you see this?
No.
So it didn't go viral, but it was like around like Bama Twitter, and like it was like from Harvey Updike. It was like, A&M fans, like, no hard feelings, but like make sure you quote tweet this with your favorite tree on campus. I'm gonna make a visit in October.
So good.
Perfect.
So
perfect.
Good. Tell everybody where they can hear you. You got the YouTube stuff, you got the podcast, you got the Twitter account. Tell everybody what's going
on. All right. So I will be on Saturday Down South YouTube. Still trying to figure out how video processing works. That's been a lot of fun. Again, despicable that I had to change my role in the off season right now with so much stuff going on. You know what I mean? Just despicable.
Yeah,
but no, Vern Funquist on all social media. Give me a follow. You'll like it for at least 3 days, and then it'll be just insufferable. But yeah, College Football Uncensored podcast. That's the big one. Would love for y'all to give it a listen. If you love bad words and sometimes good takes, you'll like the podcast. So
well, that's what we're all striving for. Bad words and good takes. That's the new name of the next show we'll launch here on the network. Also, I'm very jealous that you and Aaron apparently have a relationship outside of me that I didn't know about. That bothers me now, and now I'm a little offended by that. So thank you, dude. Great talking to you, man. We'll hang out sometime. Come up to Nashville. I'll buy you a drink, and we'll go to Jasper's, by the way, where the parking is free. The shuffleboard is great. The air hockey, Papa Shot, You got skee ball in there. It's all great.
If you think I won't go to Nashville just for free Papa Shot and beer and skee ball, you obviously do not understand my bank account. So
the whole trip is free. The whole trip is free. You got to pay for gas, which is really fucking expensive. So
you know what? That's a different episode we got to do.
Yep, we can do that one too. Thank you guys all for listening. Rate, review, subscribe. Check out the YouTube page as well. Everything Chris does. Thank you, man. Always a pleasure. My name's Braden Gall. Thanks for hanging out with us. This has been Fringe Element here on the 440 Sports Network.